Welcome to the Tips and Tricks Whole Food Plant-Based Living. I am Jeanne Schumacher and I will be your host for this presentation. Let's start with what is whole food plant-based. You're basically looking at eating whole, unrefined, or minimally refined plants, such as fruits, vegetables, starches, which is the rice, potatoes, pasta, whole grains, and of course, legumes. When I win lotto, this is my car, a 1969 metallic blue convertible Corvette. Kerosene is a great fuel, and if you put kerosene into this car, it will be a sad day because you are going to kill this car because kerosene is the wrong fuel for this car. And I compare animal-based products, highly refined foods, and oils to being the wrong fuel for our bodies. Once you start putting the right fuel in, then your body's going to feel so much better because it's going to be able to heal itself. These are lemon chia seed pancakes. Anytime I make these, people ask for more. They're so good. I cook in batches on the weekend. This is my steel cut oats that I make for my husband for his breakfast. This is my mac and not cheese. And this is my comfort food that I absolutely love. These are barbecue cauliflower wings. The first time I made these, my husband and I ate the whole platter and started looking around for more. It was really good. This is a raw fettuccine alfredo, and it makes a great use of your zucchinis. Like when you have a ton coming from your garden, this is something that is awesome to eat. It's cold, it's delicious, it's very, very light, a wonderful summer dish. This is my classic spring pea risotto, which I usually demo in several of my lectures. A lot of times people ask me, so is that what you eat, is salad? No. As you can see, the food is amazing and it is so good. So in our last video, we learned how to stock the fridge, our pantries, our house. So now let's learn about cooking. You're going to need some pans, of course. I really like this set of pans a lot. I get it at Bed Bath & Beyond. I pretty much just use the frying pans and the skillet. The other pans, I pretty much use stainless steel, and those are fine. The ceramic is awesome because you really don't need to have any oils at all to cook with. They just make it so easy. It is a very micro thin coating of ceramic on top of aluminum. The good news is with these pans that you don't need to use oil to cook with. The bad news is they're extremely fragile. And when I mean fragile, I mean fragile. You cannot nest them when you're storing them. You have to hang them up or protect them with a towel in between because they will chip. You cannot use metal utensils with this at all because it will chip the ceramic, and they're very delicate to clean with. You cannot use anything like stainless steel or hard scrubby pads on this. Also, with time, the ceramic is going to expand at a different rate than the aluminum does, so you're going to start to see pitting, and when that happens, you want to toss the pan and get a new one. The good news is that they're pretty inexpensive. I get these at Bed Bath & Beyond, but I've also seen other versions at Walmart. Keep your stainless steel pans around. Those are great, but these are priceless because you can cook oil-free. I have this hanging over my stove, and this is where I hang my ceramic pots and pans because you just cannot stack them or store them in a drawer. So it makes it very convenient to have your pans very handy. If you're not familiar with this is an Instant Pot. And it replaces your slow cooker and other things. It cooks rice, grains, it can steam things, it can slow cook. It's a multi-purpose pot, which is really nice. The best part is that inside it contains a stainless steel liner, which pops out for easy cleaning. Most slow cookers have a lining that is usually ceramic based and has some kind of coating, which is usually a mystery. But with stainless steel, you know stainless steel. I love this. This is a steamer and it has a double layer so you can cook more than one thing at once. I use this to make rice. There's a bowl that it comes with that you can cook rice inside of it. I also use this to cook or steam potatoes. I'll cook them that way, get them to they're a little bit soft, and then the steam gets them so they're moist so that any kind of seasoning will stick, and then I'll pop them in the oven on a silicone mat and crisp them up. What I love about this is that it has a timer so you can turn it on and walk away so it shuts off all by itself. I probably use my Vitamix 2 or 3 times if not more, a week. It's a very, very powerful blender. I think one of the best on the market. There are some lower cost alternatives. It is rather pricey, but there's some other lower cost ones you can look at. You can do your own research, but you need a powerful blender. You're going to be blending things, especially with like nuts, to get it to a fine texture. You really need to have a powerful blender, and I love this. This is one of those products that I said, oh, I've got to have this. And I use it probably twice a year, and then it sits on top of my refrigerator collecting dust. It's wonderful. It spirals and makes things all different ways, and it's great, but it's flimsy. The material is cheap. It's clunky. It's very large. So it sits on top of my refrigerator, and I take it down, blow the dust off twice a year, and use it. But it's fun. Silicone baking mats are amazing. You just roll them out, put them on top of your old cookie sheets. It turns them into oil-free cooking. You don't need to use any kind of oil because it just pops right off the silicone. These are probably one of the things that I use almost daily. I have other mandolin slicers, but they're bigger, bulkier, and tend to stay put away in under drawers or in cabinets. This just pops right out. You slice, wash, rinse, put it away. You don't have to break it down. You don't have to break it apart. I love this. The zester is another thing that I use to add flavor. I keep in my freezer frozen ginger, turmeric, limes, lemons, and oranges, and zest them, the whole thing, to add a wonderful source of flavor to many dishes. I love popcorn, and one of the things that I hate to give up is popcorn, so I still cook it. It does come out a little bit dry because there's no oil that you're using to cook with it. So what I do is very light spray of water to make either seasonings or salts to the popcorn, and the light coating of water will allow the seasonings to stick. Or I'll take some Abima and Paz and put it into a very fine spray mister and spray that over. These are the infused balsamic vinegars, and it just gives the popcorn a wonderful, wonderful flavor. You cannot put a lot on because it'll make the popcorn kind of almost dissolve, but it does add nice flavor. Yonana's has this frozen dessert maker, which is fantastic. It takes fruit and makes it into creamy yumminess. There's a lot of different recipes on the Yonana's website, and it's something I strongly recommend. In the summertime, you just can't live without it. You can also use your blender if you don't want to purchase another machine or don't have the space to get it. You can use your blender to do the same thing, but the Yonana's really does a great job. This was a wonderful investment when I first got it. I love French fries. I cut up the potato into French fry size pieces and I put it on the pan, and it was great because the ridges allowed heat to get underneath and cook it. The only problem is they stick to the pan, and while I can just take a plastic spatula and pop them off and pop them over, it kind of stains the pan. So in the process of washing the pan, the coating has come off. So initially I was in love with these pans, but not since the coating has been coming off. If you're lucky enough, you can get one of these lasagna pans with the ceramic lining, but it's not necessary. It's a nice to have, but not necessary, because I just take my regular lasagna pan and I use parchment paper inside, and that works just as well. Spices are your new best friend. I have 2 of these racks that just attach to the wall, which is really, really convenient. I have 2 just is not enough, actually. If I could have more space and more room, I would have another 2 or 3 of them. I buy a lot of spices and use them all the time, but this is a very, very convenient rack. These are fun. Again, not something you would use all the time. The baked taco rack, you just drape a corn tortilla over this and put it into the oven and bake it, because most tortillas that you're going to get commercially prepared have oil in them. The other option is you can just drape them over the rack in your oven, which is nice, but these make it so that they open up wider. Draping it over your rack in your oven keeps it narrower and they tend to break, so this is a nice investment. Also, the tortilla shell pans are great because most of those tortillas, again, contain oil. So if you find the ones without oil, you can put it in there and bake it and make a nice tortilla shell. Parchment paper makes non-stick cooking totally amazing. You can use your glass casserole pans, line it with parchment paper, and nothing sticks. It's wonderful. You can also put this on cookie sheets and put cookies on there for oil-free baking, or you can use the silicone mats. I love paninis, and in these pans, You don't need to use any oil. I just take bread. I usually use hummus inside and then put whatever veggies you like, mushrooms or peppers, tomatoes, make a big stack and put the lid on top. The lid to me doesn't weigh enough. It's not heavy enough, so I will take some of my weights and I'll put it on top and it squishes it down nice, and you come out with a great panini. One of the things you're really going to have to learn to do is to read labels. In the beginning, this lifestyle takes a little bit of time to learn, but once you learn this, you become almost on autopilot, but you have to learn how to read a label correctly. The first thing to do is to look at the ingredients. You want to make sure if there's things that you can't pronounce, chemicals that are in there, you're not going to want to put that into your body. You want to try and keep it as minimally processed as possible. Next thing to look at is the serving size. Usually one of the tricks that they do is they make the serving sizes really small so that the specs look great, but they're not human size portions, and no one's going to eat that little tiny amount. So you have to check the serving size. The next thing you want to look at is the fat content. You want to keep fat under 20%. The lower the better, especially if you're dealing with heart disease or diabetes or you're trying to heal your body. You want to limit strongly the amount of fat that you're eating. Sodium, you want to keep on a 1-to-1 ratio between calories and milligrams of salt. Sugar, there are 57 different names of sugar because they list the ingredients in descending order, meaning that the first ingredient is going to be the most and then it's going to decrease after that. To try and keep sugar out of the top, say 3 or 5 ingredients, they'll break up the sugars into different types and list them so that they appear lower on the list. There's a great book written by Michael Moss, and he kind of did a expose on the food industry. I strongly recommend reading it. Let's look at the serving size. There's only a half a cup and there's 4 servings per container. So in this little half a cup of whatever it is you're eating, let's look at the calories from fat to calories. So you take 130 calories, divide it by 250 calories for the whole serving, times it by 100 to get a percent, and this is 52% fat. Wow. You really want to keep your level of fat under 20 if at all possible, less than 15 if you're trying to restore health to your body. Then let's look at the sodium. Sodium is 75 milligrams to 250 calories. So that's a lot less than a 1-to-1 ratio. So the sodium is okay. Let's look at the sugar. Wow, 26 grams of sugar. And you notice that there is no daily percentage requirement on there, which is very frustrating. So they will tell you how many grams, but do you know how many grams of sugar that you're supposed to have in a day? I'm so glad you asked. You guys are great. Great audience. Let's look at how much sugar we're supposed to have. American Heart Association recommends 37.5 grams for men, women 25 grams. So that's 9 teaspoons for men of sugar a day and 6 for women. That's it for the whole day. Let's look at a soda. The serving size is 1 can, so that's great. Calories from fat, there is none, so it's fat-free. Sugar, 39 grams. That's equal to 9.75 teaspoons of sugar. In 1 can of this soda, it's more than you should have for the whole day of sugar. Also, look where the sugar is coming from. High fructose corn syrup. One of the biggest problems with fructose is it can only be broken down by your liver. And if you damage that liver, thanks for playing, you're done. Sodium is 45 milligrams to 140. So the sodium ratio is great, but let's look at a couple of the other ingredients. You've got phosphoric acid, and the body has to alkalize this. Your body is supposed to be alkaline. So anytime you're consuming acids, you have to alkalize that or make it basic. If you don't have the minerals available in your body from food that you've eaten, you're going to take it from your skeleton. You're going to pull the calcium out to help alkalize this. And it also, of course, contains caffeine, which is a central nervous system stimulant. These rice crackers have replaced my potato chips in my life. So let's look at these. A serving size is about 8 crackers, no fat. There's no added salt into this. So this is great, especially for me. I'm very salt sensitive. No sugar has been added. So this is a win-win. There's only 2 ingredients, organic brown rice flour and organic white rice flour. This one's a win-win for me. Coconut milk. Coconut milk is a plant-based milk, but let's look at the amount of fat. 50 calories from fat. There's 80 calories total. So take 50 and divide it by 80, multiply by 100. And this is 62.5% fat. You want to stay away from saturated fats. This type of fat is what's going to clog your arteries. Let's look at the sodium. There's 80 calories, 35 milligrams of salt or sodium. So that's less than a 1-to-1 ratio. So the sodium's great. The sugar is the second ingredient. It is equal to 2 teaspoons of sugar. This is a granola bar. So the serving size in the package is 1 bar. The calories from fat, take 30 divided by the total calories, which is 110, multiply it by 100, which gives me 27.3% fat, which is a little bit high on the fat side, but look where the fat is coming from. There's no oil that's listed on these ingredients. Fat is coming from the seeds and the nuts that are in this granola bar. So this is okay if you're somebody who is not suffering from disease, or you're trying to reverse, say, diabetes or heart disease. And this would be an occasional treat. This would not be something you would have every day, but maybe once or twice a week. You might have this as a snack. Let's look at the sodium. There's 35 milligrams of sodium to 110 calories, so the sodium is a great ratio. There's 7 grams of sugar in this, so overall that's a little bit less than 2 teaspoons of sugar. And you'll notice that there is no sugar per se added. I'm assuming the sugar is coming from the coconut nectar, but the ingredients speak for themselves. So this would be an okay addition for plant-strong people as a treat. Potato chips. Wow. Serving size is 1 ounce of potato chips. And I don't know about you, but I'm not stopping at 1 ounce of potato chips if I'm eating potato chips. I try not to put myself into the situation because this is my Achilles heel. I love potato chips, so I just don't put myself around them. They're not in my home. I may come across them at a party, but I try to avoid that table if at all possible. Let's look at the calories from fat versus calories. 90 calories from fat divided by 150 calories total times 100. 60% fat. Yikes. Let's look at the sodium. There's 150 calories to 180 milligrams of salt. So that's more than a 1-to-1 ratio. So this is a little bit high on the salt spectrum. There's no sugar. Okay, great. But the ingredient issue is oil and salt. That's what makes the potato chips taste so good. This is something that you really want to avoid. So let's talk about cooking. Help! I can't cook. Okay. In Plant Pure Jumpstart, these are plant-based lunch and dinner entrees. They're flash frozen, shipped to your doorstep or to any other location you designate. And these are almost entirely made of whole food components. They're 100% plant-based. There's no added oils. They're low in sodium and sugar, and most of all, they're delicious. This is something you might want to try. If you're not sure about this, you're not sure about what food you might want to eat or like, try this. You can, on the Plant Pure website, you can find out more information about this. Another resource is Jeff Novick. He is hilarious. He takes you through this series called fast food, not meaning like McDonald's or Burger King fast food, meaning like his definition is I have to be able to get it on the table in 10 minutes or less. He takes you through the basics. He takes you through the grocery store to go shopping. He teaches you through these basic ingredients, how to make 10 or 15 different dishes. He walks you through how to make burgers and fries, and it's great. They're on his website, jeffnovick.com, or you can find them on drmcdougall.com. But I've seen all of these videos and they're fantastic. What? No oil? I can't cook with oil? Sure you can. You can use ceramic pans, silicone mats, parchment paper to line dishes, and when you saute, use water, wine, veggie broth, or beer to saute. And in baking, you can use applesauce to replace the oil to give it moisture, because that's what all the oil does in baking is give it moisture. There are literally so many cookbooks out there now, and I recommend the Plant Pure Nation. I love this cookbook, but there's so many out there. They're really, really good. On my nightstand is usually a stack of cookbooks. I read them like regular books. I'm always on the hunt for new ideas, new recipes. I'm always trying different things. There's also 2 apps out there. There's the Forks Over Knives app, and of course there's Dr. McDougall's. You can type in like an ingredient, say I have an eggplant in my fridge and I need to find a recipe. Type in eggplant and they'll come up with 6 or 7 recipes with eggplant that you can pick from. It's really great. A lot of good stuff on these apps. There's also, of course, the Plant Pure Nation website. There's recipes, there's Plant Pure TV, there's courses, all kinds, and there's more things continually being added on a day-to-day basis. The site is going to do nothing but grow. If you're not familiar with this, you need to get involved with Plant Pure Nation. Join a pod, join a group as a support group. It's amazing. Truly a place to connect with other people. You can find Plant Pure doctors. You can find all kinds of resources on there. So the other piece is to prepare in bulk. Sunday is my cooking day. I'll be steaming rice in my steamer. In the meantime, I'm making steel cutouts on the stove. I'm making a Mexican lasagna for the week for my husband for lunch. He absolutely loves the Mexican lasagna. The recipes are on my website. I'll keep several staple things, some kind of grain in the refrigerator, berries all the time, fruits, vegetables, so that I can pull things out and mix them together. One of my staples is kale. I'll steam kale and put it into containers. Then I can use that to add it to soups. I can add it to dishes because you really want to get kale in as much as possible into your dishes. Or I'll just drizzle some of the Bima and Pa's infused balsamic vinegar just over the kale and I'll eat it that way. Delicious, just delicious. Eating out can be done. You have to learn places where you can go. For example, Wendy's has baked potatoes. I love a baked potato and I usually carry a dressing with me so that I'll just drizzle that over the baked potato. And it's great. McDonald's has oatmeal that you can get. You just have to learn. We eat a lot at Subway because we can get fresh veggies all the time. What I usually say is that I'm vegan and that I have an allergy to oil, which is actually true because when I eat oil, my blood pressure goes up because it causes your blood platelets to become sticky. Once they become sticky, it makes them become almost like sludge. It takes 10 to 12 hours to clear the oil out of your system. And in the meantime, it decreases the amount of oxygen that's flowing through. So it's not a good thing to have in your body. Any oil, coconut oil, olive oil, extra virgin, whatever, pressed by virgins on the 7th solstice of the 7th, no, it doesn't matter. So you learn to cook without it. Eating out is a little bit trickier, but it can be done. You just say that you're vegan, but you can't have oil. What can you do for me? And you can do this. You have to think of it not as a diet, but this is my new lifestyle. You can jump in, which a lot of people do. They just clean out their kitchen, clean out their pantry, go shopping, start fresh, and jump right in. Or some people need a little bit more time to ease into it, and that's great. You can do like, say, the first week. Just change your breakfast to whole food plant-based. A good choice would be oatmeal. You can use old-fashioned oatmeal. You can cook it. You can use steel cut oatmeal. There are so many different recipes out there to make oatmeal and steel cut oats. It's amazing. Whatever flavors that you enjoy, you can find something to do with the oatmeal. Week 2, change your lunch. And then week 3, add your dinner. By week 4, you're going to be on autopilot. It's also good to keep a food journal. I use a Fitbit and they have a option, list all the food that you're eating for the day. It's an app on your phone that you can just go in and add food easily. And that's been very helpful for me because I've seen where I'm getting my protein from, where am I getting my sodium from, what foods have different nutrients and vitamins. So that to me has been very, very helpful. Do keep in touch. I have a website, jschumacher.org. On this website, I have put everything that I've learned. I'm continually adding more and more to it, so I hope you visit it often. A support group is absolutely vital. Through Plant Pure Nation, you can join virtual groups, which is the pods, and in my area, it's Westchester County. And you don't have to be from Westchester if you want to join. We love to have you. The actual meetup group is called Yorktown Katona. And you don't have to be from either one of those towns. Anybody is welcome. And we're going to be starting to meet up. In our meetup group, we're going to be having potlucks, people to come and speak, presentations so that we can learn from each other. So I'm very excited about that. I'm also trying to get more restaurants on board in our area. And that's something that you can do in yours as well. And by coordinating people and getting people to ask for basically food that's vegan but oil-free, once the restaurants understand that there's an audience out there that want to eat this way, then they'll start presenting. But we have to make our demands known to these restaurants. Another huge group is Facebook. There are literally so many whole food plant-based groups out there. There's one following Dr. McDougall, Caldwell Esselstyn, Colin Campbell. They provide support to you. They are constantly sharing recipes and new ideas for food. And it's a place to share, a place to vent. Most of them are positive and sharing and caring. I have a Facebook group called Plant Powered Westchester. Again, you don't have to be from Westchester. It's open to anybody. Love to have you. Please join. So I hope you have learned a few tips and tricks. A lot of the pots, pans, whatnot, I have a master list on my website that's available. And I've listed like where I purchased them, how I bought them, where you could find them, all kinds of information about that. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me through jschumacher.org and have a plant-powered day.